Hi everyone, my name is Giovanna Proença, and today we're going to talk about Happy to Connect of week 6 of CS50 Introduction to Database with SQL. So in this exercise, it will be a revisit of the things we've been doing on week 2 when we were designing tables, but now the focus is doing this in a more scalable way. So our goal is to create a database for LinkedIn, and we're going to follow the same ideas we saw before. The primary thing we're going to change is where we had text, we're going to use varchar, we're going to follow some rules we need to do, but it will be pretty much the same, okay? So before you start, remember to create a directory called Sentimental Connect and create a file called schema.sql. Then, to create a MySQL database for LinkedIn from scratch, we need to start writing here in our schema.sql the message create database, and you can give any name for your database. I'm gonna call LinkedIn. I think on week 2 we were using connect, but you can decide what you prefer. And then I'm gonna say that I wanna use this table, this database LinkedIn. I forgot LinkedIn, okay? So now we are creating our database and we're setting that from now on we're gonna write things in our database. Let's remember some cases and review a little bit what we did in the past. So we're gonna have a users table that will contain the name, the first name, last name, username, and the password. They are telling us here that the password are hash and they will be up to 128 characters long. All right, this is important for us. So if we take a look, this was one of the tables I did in the past, but now I change a little bit. So we have an ID, every table must have an ID. We have the first name as a varchar, last name varchar, username varchar, and password varchar, okay? I put here in the right what we wrote on week 2, and now in the left, we're gonna review what we did, and we're gonna write in commands that MySQL will understand. So as we can see here, the start is the same from the lecture. We're gonna say create table and the name of our table, open up the parentheses and start writing the columns with their types. So it will be create table users, and we're gonna have an ID that is an int. We don't have the word integer anymore in this case, and we need to set that this will be auto incremented. Okay, so we need to say auto increment, so it will always update the number of the ID every time we create a new row in our table. And we need to set that this is a primary key. Okay, and if you double check, we're doing the same thing. The primary key might not be the same, but the auto increment it is. Then we need to have our first name, and this will be a varchar 255, okay, and I'm gonna say not no, just to add a constraint that this can be empty. We're gonna have the last name, and again, it will be the same thing, so varchar 255 not no. Then I'm gonna have a username, and again, it will be a varchar because it's a text, and I'm gonna say not no, and also I want this to be unique as we did in the last time. And then we're gonna have a password that will be again a varchar, and now actually not a varchar, they're telling us that it's 128 characters long, so this will be a char with 128 numbers. So it's not a varchar, it's exactly 128. Okay, varchar will allow us to receive any size, any length of string. A char here we're setting, I want this to be exactly 128. And then as we saw in here, they are telling us to say primary key and what is the column that is a primary key. So again, I'm gonna get this from there, and I'm gonna say put a semicolon. Okay, so this is for the users. Now let's work with the school. So for the school, we need the name of the school, the type, the school location, and the year in which the school was founded. And we need to assume that LinkedIn only allows schools to choose one of 3 types: primary, secondary, and higher education. So it will be a little bit different from what we did in the part of type school. Here in type school, we let a text, but now we want to select one of 3 options. So it will be a little bit different, and we will see in a bit. So I'm going to actually copy and paste in here, and we're going to do the changes we should do. So it will be a school, 1 second. So it's not an integer, it's an int, and I want to auto increment. Then I'm gonna have a name, and here it will be a varchar 255, and I'm gonna say not no. This must be added. For the school type, I will let in a second. For text, here for location, it will be a varchar 255. Not no. And for founding here, we have a type, the